Hey folks, this is Fernando doing our video for the More Survivalist, and in this video I'm going to be talking about a topic of why are preppers so angry. This was a question that was asked to me by Lisa Bedford, Survival Mom. Actually was asked yesterday during a conversation that we were having for her radio show. So check it up, Survival Mom. I think it's going to be airing on Tuesday, if I'm remembering well. I'll leave the link below there in my website. I thought it was an interesting topic to cover, and it left me thinking. I kept thinking about that after we talked. I've covered before why you find so much fear in the survival and preparedness community, and these are kind of linked one another. Fear, anger. At the risk of sounding like a complete geek and quoting Master Yoda from Star Wars, where he says that fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. They're kind of connected one another. So as we get started, first of all, I'd like to say that it's understandable to feel a certain degree of fear when getting involved in survival and preparedness, simply because of the nature of what you're undertaking. Survival and preparedness is about being ready for emergencies and disasters that are dangerous, risky, even deadly. And even though some of them are less likely to happen than others, some of them are very likely and even unavoidable. Death, getting old, getting sick eventually, these are things that will end up happening. And even others, such as self-defense, preparing yourself so as to be ready for high crime and rioting, that sort of thing. Those are violent situations, potentially deadly situations, and it's pretty dark in some ways. So it's understandable that when you start learning about all these things, start learning skills so as to be ready for these things, you get into a very dark territory. And feeling angry is understandable as well, especially when preparing for financial disasters, economic collapses, that sort of thing, because the more you start learning and researching, the more you start understanding how these things are rarely accidental. Usually, I say in most cases, these things are even engineered and planned so that someone benefits from it, almost like in thermodynamics, so that a very small group of people end up having a large group of people has to go without and suffer, and things have to come from somewhere. It's not generated out of nothing. So when you see how that works and you start understanding all the little details and work going on behind curtains, you will probably start feeling pretty angry with the politicians that allow these things, with the corporations and people involved in all these workings. So anger, yes, you will probably feel quite a bit angry the more you understand and learn how these things go down. Anything from the real estate bubbles to it's pretty upsetting once you understand it better. So these are all natural things. At the same time, there's also an aspect involving the survival and preparedness industry. The businesses and people that are trying to allocate and sell stuff, products, survival gear, or survival classes, the preparedness classes, books. I have my own book, the Modern Survival Manual, which I promote whenever I get the chance. The thing is that you can promote things one way or another. I try to promote what I do, my book, my videos and such, by creating stuff that has added value, creating stuff that I believe people will benefit from. And whenever I get the feedback from you guys, or the emails, or comments or replies and such, and I get replies from people that feel that they're learning useful things. That makes my day. That means good business for me as well, because it's good promotion when people like what you're doing. But at the same time, there's people that try to promote their businesses or their material, their book or whatever it is that they're doing, classes or whatnot, by promoting fear, by scaring people. And the truth is that fear sells very, very well, especially the more you scare people, the more likely you are to get their attention, to get them to buy whatever it is you're selling. If I go with my book, I have it here, right, and I go, you need this to survive because you're gonna be dying if not. If you do that sort of thing, you're gonna be getting significant amount of people to buy whatever it is that you're selling, because scaring people works. It always has been that way. May that be for selling books, for selling guns, for selling knives. You need this gun because this is the best one. If you don't have this gun, you're gonna be dying or you're gonna be getting murdered. If you don't have this knife, that sort of thing sells. Does everyone go for it? No, that's, different people have different ideas of what's right or wrong. So you will find that it works very well. And it's not only survival and preparedness stuff. You'll find it in TV as well. The more dramatic, the more scary, the more shocking the footage is, or the topic is that they're talking about in TV, usually the better it will do in terms of ratings. So it's understandable. Is it right? I don't like that sort of thing. I wouldn't be able to sleep well at night if I did that sort of thing myself, and especially not because for this particular type of thing, for survival and preparedness, I think that it's important to be very level-headed. All right, going back to the topic about fear, anger, and such. When you are scared, when you are frozen by fear, chances are you're not making the right decisions. Now, don't get me wrong, fear can be a very powerful survival mechanism on its own. It makes you stronger, it makes you faster, it makes you more aggressive when you need to be aggressive and violent even. But as a state of mind, being constantly fear blocks you and doesn't allow you to make cool-headed decisions, right? And you're going to be needing that a lot. You're going to be needing to make wise decisions. I actually have a good example of such a thing. I was with a friend of mine. We took a truck, a Toyota Hilux, very nice truck. We took it to a building site in the Andes, the mountains, the Andes, between Argentina and Chile. There was a construction site there, and we had to take this truck. We ended up having a car accident there, ended up in the middle of nowhere, stuck in the middle of the Andes, 5,000 meters above sea level. Freezing, very cold. It was like 2, 3 a.m. My friend, his first reaction is, let's get out of the car, walk back to the campsite. Actually, it was the construction site. We needed those 4x4 trucks. We needed the Hilux because the road was not built yet. It was the only way to get there. So there was nothing there. There was no traffic. There was nothing, and help was not going to be arriving. So my friend says, "Let's walk back." And he was just getting out of the truck already, so as to walk back to the construction site. And I told him, you know what? If you do that, you're gonna be dying. It was like 80 kilometers in the middle of nowhere, in the most awful type of terrain you could think of, in the middle of the night, freezing cold. You're not gonna be you're gonna be dying of exposure. And once I explained that to him, he said, okay, yeah, you're right. We ended up spending the night there. In the morning, we were able to get the car fixed and unstuck from where we had crashed and such. In the Toyota Hilux, if you've seen the the Top Gear videos of how tough the Hilux is, you know, the death of the Hilux videos, in which they do everything to that truck and it never dies. Well, we actually had the chance of experience that, and even with a bent axle, we drove back home. Well, not home, but to safety and then back home. So the thing is, you have to be level-headed. You have to be reasonable so as to make good decisions, and this is both for disasters or emergencies like this specific event, and for other things as well, for how you're going to be handling the resources that you have, how you're going to be handling your time, what you're going to be dedicating your time, money, and efforts to. Those are all things for which you have to be reasonable and cool-headed. And being impulsive, scared and such, it's not useful. And also, in terms of fear, do you let yourself get involved with all this fear, this hatred, this negative stuff, this doom and gloom thing? I think that's particularly negative as well. It's particularly counterproductive, because one of the things I've learned from, especially in terms of urban survival, economic collapse, life in general, when it gets tough, when things don't go well, and you just have to, there's really nothing worthy of Hollywood movies. It's just life sucking because of unemployment, because of very harsh economic moments. May that be on life personally for you individually, or as an entire group, and like a country, an entire country going through a crisis, a depression, or other financial tough moments. In those things, in those moments, you have to stay positive. It's very important to stay positive. You could even find parallelisms with other emergencies, in disasters, where you also have to remain positive. You also have to see what you have and not let the negative stuff overwhelm you. You have to, you have to stay positive, even beyond what's logical and what's reasonable. Even if you have very little to be positive about, you have to find it. You often see people mention the glass half full or half empty, and for the right mentality that you need for survival and preparedness, you have to be so positive that even if your glass has this little bit of water left, you have to be very positive about it and say, I have this little bit of water left. That's great. That's all I need. I'm going to be pulling through with that little resources, with that little capabilities that I have left. I'm going to be making it through. Guys, that's my take on it. I suggest checking out with the radio show of Survival Mom, because we do talk about this as well. I think it's going to be on Tuesday. Folks, remember to subscribe and like the video and share it if you wish to do so. Take care. Have a great day. See you on our next